Yeah, so before we get really full on going, just a quick run through of some of like just catching up some people. I've done a lot of work over the last 2 days on the site, so I've made some pretty significant changes. I've added the members workshop button here that takes you right to, is it loading? Yes, it loaded. I haven't put any beauty into it yet. I need to hit it with some photos and glam it up a little bit, but it's real plug and chug. Like the calendar, I thought has been very successful. Just having, all the links and all the information for the calendar section for us. And now I was thinking, well, the workshops are sort of like that, but I don't want to put them on the actual calendar. So I created a similar idea with links, and this is just going to get maintained. As I find out, I just going to maintain it. So it really does start with into April here. And it just gives you all the memberships classes that I'm aware of. Now, most of these people need to, you need to tell us. I went in and took a big, deep search around New England just to check it out over the last couple of days. So I found some ones that I hadn't been told of. And yeah, so you're seeing like a ton, an absolutely wonderful ton. Like, look at this echo dying with Adele. Oh my goodness, that would be a fantastic thing. I wish I could do that day. I have something else going on that day. I'm teaching. Yeah, so you've got all kinds of different crazy ideas here, and they're all over the place. And there's some interesting, like day trip kind of ideas, like this one here in Clinton, New York, unless you live in New York, because we do have membership in New York. Those are the kind of like you
The
go
one
and
in
stay at a place.
Christina, the one in New York is you go for a week and you stay there. It's
Yeah,
through
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying
Miami.
some of these are not necessarily local to the metro Boston area. Some are in New Hampshire, some are in Maine, some are, they're all the links are right on. And I got it, it took me a while to make this work. So I'm thinking that from now on, the newsletter can have this link directly here, and then we could spotlight people that we have some photos of so that it's prettier and not quite as much of a like whammy, and people could come here for the deeper dive. What do you think of that idea for newsletters moving forward? Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just an easier way to access it all, and it really does highlight, I think, the membership in a nice way. Big news here. NEBA's going to have a booth. We're going to have the lowest end booth. We're going to have what is called the zine booth. And I believe Gabriella is going to be the main person working this booth, because we are also going to be that same weekend at the Watertown Free Public Library Zine Fest. So we're going to have two different NEBA zine things going on. So we'll have all of our merch, and we'll have all the zines for sale for like $2 each. It's a $150 booth. We have our beautiful brochures. We have hundreds of those, available to do at these fairs. And I think it would be a great opportunity for $150 to really get us out there in a major, important one. So we're submitting, but it's juried, so we may not get it, I think I made a nice submission, but we'll see. Yeah. So I also threw up here the overview of the zine swaps is now in the blog section. So this is what we're going to be watching a slideshow on here in just a matter of minutes here. And since not everyone's here, I will, just kind of talk a little bit about each person's that aren't here and just give you an overview of everything. It's really nice to have something fun that we can do over the summer. I mean, obviously, there will probably be some field trips that are last minute announcements and things of that nature that come up. But the major consistent like monthly meetings, especially all the Zooming, just nonstop Zoom, we do a Zoom event almost every week, in the month, scattered through the month. So you're really getting a good sense here of the overview of everyone. So Nancy Ballard, Marie Canaves, Dennis Stahill, he's here, Susan Gaylord, Anya Gilmore. A lot of these people are the same people that did them the previous year as well. I did too. So here's my mushroom one. And then I did another version of my educational sort of steps to abstraction series that I've got going. Carolyn Letvin, Susan Morris, she did too, and she's with us. So we'll get to hear more about hers. And her mom, Judy Patterson's got hers too. And then we've got Gail Samuda, Alice Stan, Donna Steppians, And we really want to give, a lot of love to Susan because her book is her little box is so cute and wonderful. And it's all in a PDF that, so during COVID, we've been able to do all of our swapping without actually being around each other, but we have been able to spend some time lately, which has been wonderful. Yeah. All right. So we're going to hop right on into the backstory, and then we'll start our slideshow. So the backstory shows you the previous year. So this is from 2020. We really just introduced it as a concept and tried to encourage people to put either the NEBA logo or some kind of reference. But the first year we had a real mash of, some people didn't even sign it, so it was just kind of like just a fun, crazy, raw, a little bit more raw. And we put out, I had come across this woman who had designed this particular zine. What is her name? I'll give a link to her. Where's her link? Here, Sammy Boris. This is an open source PDF, and I just basically hacked it and added a little more content and put a NEBA logo and our Zine Swap date. And this is actually one of our main giveaways at all these booths during the last couple of years now. When I have opportunities, I put these out and with the cards and let people just grab them. So we're kind of evangelicalizing a little bit the zine scene, which is kind of nice to do. It makes you feel good. And so we also highlighted Susan Gaylord's wonderful YouTube presence. She has a large channel that she shows a lot of videos on. So you've got her videos. The one that I really enjoy is this one here, where it's using different size papers. So she can take like a long, thin. It really does change the dimensions of the final piece, even though it's actually exactly the same technique. So it's kind of fascinating. And here you're seeing some very simple but effective zines from my collection that just show you kind of the raw kind of concepts that have been playing around predominantly in the zines. And there is a subculture of people who feel like if you do it too fussy, you're going against some kind of zine, aesthetic and concept and breaking a rule on some level. I think it's whatever you want to do. So I think I personally do highly coiffed work. I make sure the folds are exactly the way I want them, and I'm pretty precise, but I think it's really kind of open to however you feel. A little bit of the backstory on zines here. It really started mainly as what are called fanzines, as people just being obsessed about whoever they were obsessed about, typically like a Roy Rogers or Betty Boop or, something like that, way back in the 40s. And I think it jumped pretty quickly into being used by protesters, activists, people with social agendas, people with political campaigns. This type of idea just kind of evolved. And I think it goes back way farther. I mean, I'm mentioning here Benjamin Franklin's Common Sense and stuff like that. But the basic concept of it has been around for quite a while, and I enjoy it as just a fun, spontaneous art production. For me, I try to spend less than like a full 8 to 10 hours working on one, but sometimes you can just do one at Staples with the Xerox machine and not spend any time. Just kind of just go to Staples and groove on. I have a relationship with my Staples. So yeah, you can grow and groove. Sometimes they think you're weird, but usually if you kick them a zine, it's like what, 12 cents? Kick them a zine and they're going to love you. And then they won't look at you weird the next time you do something strange. Yeah. So this is kind of the backstory from the very first one. So we're just gaining steam now, and I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at. Yeah. So let's start our slideshow. Yeah, so this is just the whole McGill, as they would say, or Megillah, laid out for you. I really like the idea of the simplicity of it being black and white. And we did have a couple that were submitted in color. So we do have the options of having them in either way. So like Susan's colors. Susan, tell us about how your like pale, it had some pale blues and a little bit of purpley kind of colors in it. The initial Xerox that we saw.
The one I did about my mom, or?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that happened, but
Oh, so it was just like an odd, yeah, I mean, that does
yeah,
happen occasionally. You get weird colorations.
it could have been
Yeah,
a color of a black and white.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like having it,
I
being able
liked
to
it
have it
though.
on both. And I also like the idea of it being in black and white, but then maybe print it for yourself. Like you could print it on pale blue, like the Santa type book. You could have, take it to Staples now and print it on a pale blue. That would, be a lovely look for that one. So one of the things I do is I photograph everything. And I also made a whole bunch of them because I knew that we were going to be showing at these last two opportunities that we've had. And I want to, I really just wanted to go ahead and bang it out. So, because I've gotten through all these family deaths and this sadness on me, and I'm trying to really shake it off and just really going to move forward. And so I decided, let's just do it. So I really did spend a lot of time making a whole bunch of the boxes that Susan had brought to me. And I made a whole lot of zines, and we did a lot of folding on separate occasions to get ready to go to the Portland Book Arts Bazaar. So I went ahead and I just put a bunch of boxes together as full sets. And in Portland, I ran into 6 of the zinesters in our set, and I just gave them their boxes in person, and everyone else is going to be mailed, and I'm just mailing them a whole set instead of just PDFing. We made them, NEBA made them, and we're just going to mail them to everybody. So that'll work out nice for everybody to have them. We also have the big box here, complete set, for anyone who donates $100 or more, gets it as a thank you gift. And it's not for sale. It's only as a gift for donations, which kind of gives it this kind of exclusive thing. And I noticed how powerful that was just recently when I had a class in paper marbling at my home studio, and one of my students saw it and we were talking about it, and she said, I want this. And I said, well, the only way you can get it is if you donate $100 to NEBA. And she gave me $100 bill. So people are responding to the exclusivity factor of it, which I think is really cool. So members in the swap get their boxes and the donors get boxes. I'm thinking that maybe next year, if we decided to open it up to being for sale, that we would want to include a colophon, right? And actually make it more formal. And that way it could even be sold to special collections libraries, potentially, right? I don't know. These are just ideas of how does it move forward in the future for me. Yeah, so I was also just thinking about different ways of how we photograph them. So I had some fun with my photography the other night. Yep. And this is Nancy Ballard's The Last Word on Perfectionism. I found this to be a really, really wonderful little piece. There's a dialogue that goes across the top of the page, and then there's a line, and then there's like a cartoon, more or less. So the dialogue on the top is referring to her misunderstanding what the zine swap was and coming up with a whole concept. So it's like her process and the comic are interwoven in this zine. Is it large enough for everyone to see?
Yes.
I really like the turtles, and I love I just love kind of like some of the subtle humor that she has going on in this. My head looks like a turkey. I would love the idea of seeing the focusing tool. Like you make something really small and you include like a little magnifier for people to I have an artist book that I bought from a woman a long time ago that has an actual thing like that, and you need it because her writing is just so small. There would be no way to read any of it. Yeah. I wish she could be here to share some of her ideas. Yeah. Okay, Marie. I thought Marie was going to join us. Marie is our first president. She's one of the 4 co-founders, and she has some Cuban heritage, and she has a lot of political kind of, verve or vigor, not vim, but verve. Yeah, I don't know. She's spicy. And this is,
Christina?
I love her use of fonts.
Christina, this is Lori Moorhead. Can I say something
Yeah, sure.
quickly? I'm wondering if some of the people that you expected to be here today were thrown by the message that I got when I logged on about 10, 15 minutes early, saying that the meeting is actually tomorrow.
That's really weird. I don't know why. Initially it was, but we changed the dates on everything.
Yeah, right. But that's the message that I got repeatedly until finally at like a minute or 2 of the hour, then it just let me in because you had started the meeting. But until you started the meeting, Zoom was sending a message saying, not today, tomorrow.
I got that too. first.
Okay.
And so I'm wondering
I
if
changed it. I did, because it was initially scheduled on Sunday, and then someone mentioned that, oh, that's Easter. We can't have it on Easter.
So
And then
I'm
I
wondering,
mentioned it repeatedly about it being a new date.
right. And I'm just saying that they could have been thrown, and if, someone is able to text them quickly and say, the meeting's actually today, they might be able to log on. I'm just saying that they might have
Yeah.
gotten thrown.
I haven't gotten any emails, and my phone is sitting right here. No one's contacted me asking.
Okay.
But it would be great if these other people had been able to come.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like Cheryl, not Cheryl, Carolyn Letvin. I don't know why I said Cheryl. That's random. Yeah. Yeah, I thought she was coming today too. But anyway, so let's just keep taking a look here. A Cuban conundrum. She did a 2-sided one last year, and this one is also 2-sided. Lots of really interesting. I always enjoy her colophon in the back. Her font ability is just like rocking. I always enjoy all the crazy combinations of fonts, and then her colophon has all the different fonts listed, so you can really get a sense. So this is looking at the Havana syndrome situation. I'm not sure if you will all have followed it on the news, but they have been talking quite a bit about it for a while now. I mean, it comes up every so often that different sets of people, and I think it's even happened in other countries as well. These sudden illnesses, and them thinking it's some kind of possible microwaves or some kind of actual directed attack. So it's interesting. And these hotels are where the incidents have occurred, and she has family connections. Her family was in the hotel business in Cuba as well. So I want to say, not the Capri. I'm not gonna. I can't remember the name of the hotel. I don't think one of those was the family hotel though, but maybe it was. Yeah, her text work is fonts and all. It's lovely. I mean, to put that many fonts on a single page, and it have such a strong visual movement and interest to it. Yeah, I love this one. And cicadas hiding underneath the directed waves. I like the graphic of that. That's lovely. And it printed really well with the tonal range too, I thought as well. So nice colophon page that really, I don't have a lot of these fonts. She must have bought a extra font package. Fantastic. Yeah. Let's see, got some detail shots. Here's the back of hers. I like the heaviness of the black and how, depending on what kind of paper you print it on, you have more or less transparency, and you really do get a chance to like have some good interplay between the insides and the outsides when you're posing it differently. I still love the Staples Supreme 28-pound. It's like the, not the standard black and white, but the fancier one. Okay, Dennis, you need to unmute.
I'm unmuted now. Okay, my zine, I entitled it Pre-COVID Paris, because I made it as a result of a tour, the last one I was able to take to Europe, to France, Switzerland, and Italy in late 2020 and up to February 2020 to 2021. And I arrived in Paris on January 31st with, it was a group tour. So I had a little time in the afternoon to kill waiting for everybody else to show up. And I decided to take a walk down the Champs-Élysées to the Arc de Triomphe and take a look at that monument. I hadn't been there for years, and because I wanted to climb up and see the view. And as I did, I realized there's a museum. I can't remember ever having seen the museum, but up on the second floor, there's a big exhibition space with trophies and awards and things for the various military honors. But included there was a stone carved model for the sculpture that's on the facade of the monument outside. And I was really quite impressed with that. They are huge sculptures. It's kind of, I don't know how many of you actually have been there, but it's in a way, in spite of their size, it's almost possible not to notice them because the arch itself is so large and domineering over almost everything around it. So I did my tour and I came back downstairs and had time to walk around the outside and to look more carefully at each of the four, these monumental sculptures on the facade. And they tend to, I think they represent the spirit and sacrifice of the French and the military, especially during the Napoleonic era. And normally I probably wouldn't look much at them. They're sort of government sort of sponsored sculpture that can be a little bit predictable, but these were wonderful. The closer I looked, the more amazed I was at the gestures of strength and struggle in all of the figures. So I photographed each of them and spent some time really looking at them. And then went back and met the group for dinner, and off we went for our tour of France and then down through Switzerland. But little did we know that we were enjoying one of the last opportunities for liberté and fraternité before the coronavirus put everyone into lockdown. This is, January 31st, 2020, and within a few weeks, even we were caught in the midst of it, but the French and other Europeans certainly were. So I had some time to think about it when it came time to do my zine, because I used my photos of all four monumental sculptures as a subject for my design, and not as much as a recollection of each sculpture, but rather as a representation of the spirit of all of them. So I created a crop and paste montage, and I thought that was probably the best way to capture that feeling in the gesture of the way the clippings work together, that suggests the way the sculptures themselves made me feel. So I thought it was a fitting way to commemorate my visit to Paris just weeks before a Corona quarantine. So that's my story about this little zine.
There's a lot of really wonderful little nooks and crannies and connections and eyes going across areas and such.
It is. It was quite a choice
Yeah.
to match them. I kept moving them and turning them upside down, doing all kinds of rearrangement to find the best way to take advantage of all those nooks and crannies as value changes. And by the way, I noticed when I printed mine out, I also have a little bit of color in some of them. There's sort of a beige color in some of the shadows. I don't know if that came out on any of it that you printed, but that's my printer. Must be the printer that does it.
Yeah. And it's always hard to do a full bleed because it's always going to add a white line. But in some cases, it doesn't add a white line all the way around. It only does it on 2 or 3 of the sides, which I think is funny. So yeah, every time you print it, it's going to do a little bit different, it seems like. That's the fun of zines.
It was a fun project. I enjoyed doing it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. So Susan Gaylord contributed this one. Am I getting an echo? Where is that coming from?
It seems to happen when David's audio is on and you are speaking. Somehow he seems to be getting a feedback on his. But
Okay.
when he muted himself, it went away.
Okay. Okay. I don't know. I thought it was interesting that Susan submitted one on perfection, and with Nancer, I don't know. I have not had a chance to talk to Nancer if she has noticed, or if Susan has noticed Nancer's yet, with the dialogue on this idea of perfection kind of being in both of their minds. So I think it would be interesting to maybe hear a little bit more on that from them. Susan Gaylord's a wonderful calligrapher. She does a lot of calligraphy, and hers last year also had a lot of calligraphy in it. So it's nice to see. This is a little bit more of a literature piece than it is, you know, artistic in the like crazy, you know, designs and all, but it's lovely and it's very moving. Her work is definitely inspirational for me. Can I move on? Yes. Inhabit a place of your own. Art making is the opportunity to inhabit a place of your own. It has definitely been that for me. I like the idea of people that teach art who also teach artistic concepts like artful living and how to have the artist's way, you know, kind of stuff, you know, that's a little bit deeper than literally technique. Yeah. And the simple elegance of it. Yeah. Just really nice. This is the kind of thing that I actually really enjoy about being a photographer of books. When you're looking at books, you don't focus this way. Your eyes don't look at things this way, but a camera can, and that takes the view of it to a different place that physicality doesn't have. So it's a little bit different. So I love how you can see things in person, have them in person, experience them in different ways, and have a fuller kind of perception. That's why I think that this Zoom idea and us presenting things as book forms over the internet in new ways is actually helpful. It is. I think it is. Sometimes I feel like we get a better view of it than we would in a show that has it in a case that you can't see but one view. You know, it just makes you think in different ways, I think, just a little bit different. Yeah. Anya Gilmore, she did a lovely one last year, and this one is, I think, is just really one of my favorites from this swap. And I don't like to point out favorites all the time, but you'll see what I mean. The elegance of how she converted her photography and the way she laid it out, and the fact that I'm a teacher at heart, so you know, I always enjoy ones that are educational, as well as just stunning and really well done. She has modified her actual hands doing this in a really, really lovely way. I just think the rendering of it is perfect for Xeroxing. You know, it's just couldn't have been better, you know. And it does make a really cute little envelope. You know, her artist statement and just the basic information. I would love, that's one of the things that I've always wanted to do, is to photograph in a spice market with the giant, colorful, you know, crazy piles on these big platters just everywhere. Yeah, I'd love to see that. All right, this is my second in the series of steps to abstraction. So this is kind of an extension of my zine Virginian, is how this all began. So the first one was a dried slice of onion that got abstracted, and now we have the light bulbs, and the one that I'm in the middle of now is cantaloupe. The joke of it all is a lot of my work is got like secret vaginas embedded in it, and it's very feminist and kind of like, you know, hybrids of being funny and serious at the same time usually. And this is very similar. So the joke of it all is no matter what I show you, it ends up looking sort of, you know, Judy Chicago secret vagina like in the end. So it's just a joke basically, but I think it's very educational and people have responded well to it. So I'm happy with it. So across the top of the zine, you have the educational components. And this is actually from a class that I took a long time ago with a really great abstraction painter. I believe her name was Sue Rice. It was at the Cambridge Center for Adult Education in Cambridge, Mass. I was teaching and we were given opportunities every term to take a class, and I took this class with her, and we did exercises to learn how to not just start with a canvas and just hit it with all kinds of crazy as an abstract, but to like deliberately take something that is realism into abstraction. And there are formal strategies, and these 7 steps were, and variations that I've kind of played with them a little bit over the years, are basically from that class. And I just really thought it was an effective tool. It has been ever since. And it's just really kind of a smart way. These are simple Sharpie illustrations that I scan and then just montage up. So it's pretty quick and fast to do it. And the idea would be that as you do your quick gesture drawings, so to speak, of these ideas, that you ultimately get to a point where you combine your results into some final idea that gets made into whatever the final piece actually is. So this is like a kind of a sketch routine that I do. And I do this a lot. You know, I'll morph morph ideas and keep it moving forward into something else. So you'll notice if you look back at the first one, this ending image is leaning towards a similar kind of image. So there's a style and a consistency that starts to appear. But I think it's just a really good, I don't know, kind of window into this sort of like, just like the last image here. It's like a snow globe that you shake up and you try it again, but it's stuck, you know? It's going to come back around to the same idea. Yeah. So it's just, anyway, I guess it's more of a personal, a personal joke than it is, who knows? I don't know. I've enjoyed it. I hope you do too. Yeah. I really love it when it turns into like this creature or bug. Yeah, it's like a bug. I did another one. I'm a shiitake mushroom grower, and I love the idea of the mortality, and they're morticians of the woods mushrooms. So there's like mortality concepts. They do this extreme plumage of spore sprays after they've been harvested, which is like this gasp of like reproduction at the last second. Their gills are fascinating looking. There's just so much about them that I really like. And I find conceptualizations coming off of that, and I have been for a couple of years. My Wish You Were Here postcard project was also involving mushrooms, and I've been leapfrogging it off of it into other ideas. Like on the right hand side, this is a two-sided zine, so the inside is what you're seeing on the other side here, is bleed through from the front on the original, and then I Xeroxed. But basically it's feeling like eyelashes, it's feeling like projections. Like as a photographer, anything that's kind of like light movement, light rays coming out of things, light bulbs, light rays, eyeballs, eyelashes. I'm seeing time. I'm seeing bicycles on some levels occasionally. Yeah. So it's just kind of meditating on all kinds of different levels of stuff. And it goes into some creature-like shapes, and because mushrooms do like if I turn a log in the middle of a mushroom growing, it'll make it freak out and go in a different direction. So it'll have like this kind of crazy curves and be really weird. Yeah. There are also breast shapes to me in here too, and obviously penises. Yeah, so I do like how it becomes other things. And I like how I can cook them, I can eat them, I can photograph them. I look at the sprays as like a printmaking technique almost. I'm combining it also with Enzo, which is a Japanese meditative like ink brush technique that I've learned from Carolyn Letvin. So for me, this piece talks a little bit about the connectivity of relationships that NEBA has brought to me, a continuum from previous projects. I mean, the meditation is so like, it's like a mycelial network. It's super, super intertwined. So it's kind of hard to really describe everything that's in this one. Yeah. There's image transfers on acetate, packing tape, basically, because this is small. And there's also some vellum that is printed at like 50% brightness through my laser printer. That's also collaged in. So basically I do a couple of different things, and then I go back to Staples and see how it's feeling all together. Or I scan it again and then print it at Staples again. So it's like layers and layers, basically. That's why there's like transparency feeling kind of in some of them. Yeah. And again, I like the idea that you can see when you pose them this way, instead of just looking at them as a book, it really does change how the interplay of these two-sided ones end up being. Okay. Waylon is, I guess you could call it him NEBA's mascot, because Carolyn Letvin is on our board as our secretary, and Waylon seems to be around when a lot of things get photographed, and so it was appropriate that he's awfully cute and she loves him to pieces. So he's a good model for her. So this is Carolyn Letman's zine, Waylon. I feature in my zine, I won't do it again. I might not do it again this year because it's already in the YouTube section of our NEBA channel. I feature my cat collection. I have a lot of cat zines because there's like a huge genre in the zine world of cats specifically. It's just tons of them. Yeah. So I think that it made sense that she did this, but I was thrilled that she did it because it's another cat zine for my collection. Oh. Yeah, he's cute. Going in the wrong direction, sorry. I like the white pen on the dark background for her signature. I always forget to do that. I always think of it signing in dark, but that's a nice option. Yeah, so I think overall everybody had signatures, a lot of people had titles, a lot of people put NEBA somewhere in there. So I thought that the consistency of it was really nice. Susan, Marcia's work is lovely. Can you yeah.
When I was about 7, I think, an architect came to our house and he had these incredibly beautiful drawings in the blueprints, and I fell in love with them, and I really think that's why I ultimately became an architect. But of course, when I became an architect, we no longer had these beautiful blue blueprints anymore. So that's why I fall in love with cyanotypes. So I just made a little zine about the history and a how-to on cyanotypes. So there's very brief history. It initially began because the scientist wanted to make copies of his lab notes. So it really was the first photocopy, and then ultimately became more photography. It's kind of interesting.
I like it that Anna Atkins, there aren't a whole lot of pioneering female artists in photography. There's literally like maybe 10 or 12 that are well known, and it's nice to see that she's in here.
She was the first one to use it as more photography with cataloging seaweeds.
Yeah. And to really have the full Monty here on the instructions is nice. It's a very generous gift.
Kind of for my trial and all my efforts. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then
this has got a lot of really great information.
Textures and tones and ways you can experiment and have fun with it.
There's some seriously good ideas in there. The rolling pin to release plant tannins.
Yeah, that works really nicely. So you can get some rounds and you can get some tones in it a little bit, and you can also get it imprinted in the paper, which is nice.
Susan, why not Earl Grey? Obviously it's a chemical reaction, but what happens?
It doesn't tone it.
Okay.
That's the only reason why. Black tea works really well. And
it's too pale.
Yeah, it won't change the color.
Is it has to do with the bergamot in it?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. But Earl Grey works really well for rusting. You get some really nice colors with rusting.
Oh, interesting.
Not for orange, but just purples or grays.
I like the dots, and it did fold up pretty well. And even if it didn't, I still like the dots. Even when they weren't 100% aligned, I thought that the dots were very effective.
That's good. That was my my basic background, so I knew where to put things.
Yeah.
I think, and then inside I had some of my own cyanotypes of feathers.
Yeah, so this one's two-sided, so you're getting a good peek at it in the other pose here to be able to see, and the contrast looks a little bit better on this. This is all shot on the exact same paper. I think my batteries weren't as charged as they should have been, because they were an editing nightmare. The consistency was like not happening. I love this. I love the stitches, and you really can feel when you look at those images, you can really feel the textures. Yeah.
And then my second one, I was given the challenge to make a zine in an hour, because Christina wanted us to show that we can do them quickly. So I gave myself 1 hour. This copy doesn't really show the front very well. I had some stamps on there that didn't come out. But so first I took out all my hand carved stamps, and I just went to town stamping all over. And then I had just gotten a vintage typewriter. And so I typed up things, some quotes or some things that I learned from my mom. So the things that helped me in my life, and they're all things I learned from my mom. So this is like a little love thank you to my mom, Judy Patterson, who's here.
We all love Judy. Yay. I have a technique question. So did you do something like tear a strip of all paper from some source with the text on it and then do like white out and then type across it? How is the like in the no act of kindness here? There's like
I typed on a piece of paper, and then I cut it into little strips and glued it onto book pages.
Okay, because I'm not really seeing a glue line or anything, so it looks like maybe it was like whiteout or some kind of crazy idea like that. Yeah, that looks great.
I typed them all on a sheet of paper and then cut them up.
Yeah, it looks good.
And I have since put a new ribbon in the typewriter, so it actually works a little better now.
Yeah, that's a good one. This too shall pass.
That's gotten me through a lot of things. That's a good one.
Seriously, good advice from Judy here. She knows.
She does.
And that is a good thing too. A lot of people just put the brakes on anything new, and there's like this fear of the new. Sometimes a new experience is exactly what you need to shake it up.
Yeah, new, it means it's an adventure, so you can go for it.
One is never bored with a book.
Yeah, that's why we always have a book with us. If we have to wait in line, we can just read.
And you do have a choice. Choose joy. That is correct. I think a lot of people feel like, somebody owes them happiness and that they can find it somewhere. It's in you, and you just gotta like choose it. Right?
Right.
With love.
But also you have to have a daughter like Susan.
That would definitely help. And of course the back cover.
Yeah, that was my little homage to Ruth Ginsburg. Yeah. And fight for what is right. And then when I first gave it to Christina, it somehow came out really, really tiny. So we made these little mini zines.
We have gone nutty with mini zines. I don't know if you can, I don't have, my screen's not going to be very big, but that's like 40 of them in one bag.
You can show us after the screen share, maybe.
Yeah. They're super tiny and super cute, and people got so excited about them. So definitely.
Christina made them into little earrings.
We made them into earrings. I flipped them so that Ruth would be facing outward in both directions. And I did some with a little teeny bit of red added to like above her head, so it's like she's got these flames kind of coming out. A little bit of red on every other page, just a little hint of red. Yeah, but Fantastic. We're super excited about these little guys. Okay, Judy.
So am I on?
You are.
Well, I had a birthday in August. And so what else would you write about? So I wrote about the day of my birthday. And here it is, my mermaids, my water aerobics group gave me a party with this cake and it lights up the Eiffel Tower. I have Eiffel Towers all over my house. It's my theme here. Oh, and then that was in the morning. First thing are the mermaids. I took them bubbles and we're blowing bubbles to celebrate my birthday. And then at 10 o'clock, I had my continuing education, my Ollie group. I took a class on black holes. And she was a wonderful instructor. Really, I enjoyed it. My family was all there, but they had to wait until I had my class on Zoom, fortunately. And then this is Joel and me, my boyfriend Joel, and we're the American Gothic. And
I love that.
and Susan and Larry gave me a spread, a birthday party for everybody, for my family. It was really wonderful with Eiffel Towers everywhere. And Paris, we did Paris. And this beret I'm wearing, my mermaids gave me, it has JP on it for Paris. So I'm feeling very French that day. And here, oh, we went on a sunset cruise, my son Keith. And he's into boats, and they rent memberships. Anyway, we all went for a sunset cruise, so I'm feeling very French.
Did you have French fries at your party?
No way, we had gourmet food, let me tell you.
I was just kidding.
You know, when I went to Paris, there was a little shop there, had a big picture of French fries on a hot dog roll, and it said American sandwich. And this is, it says, "Dear ones, I find excitement in growing old. It's a fierce ride, living well in the time left. What grows never grows old. Our society has a deep resistance to the aging body. Aiming high with love, I shall wrap my artworks around my family and friends, eroding but a spark left. Cheers."
That's wonderful.
Now
Wow.
it opens up, you know.
It does. We're getting there.
Oh,
So here it's turned inside out. So we're going to see some more of it.
okay.
This is like what, part of the overall image. Let's see if I have it. That's kind of a freaky crop on that double page spread, but I kind of like it. It's kind of kooky.
Well,
I love that.
well, I don't know.
You're popping up to say bonjour.
No. It's a golf cart that Susan and Larry rented. And the whole, oh, there it is. There you go. So that's it.
Oh, I love that. That's so funny.
And we all went for a ride around Davis Islands. It was really fun. And Susan and I took it the next day. We had some time left and we got lost. We couldn't get out of Davis Island. We were circling for 5 times in the same place. It was fun.
Oh, so lovely.
We were only about 4 blocks from her house, but we were completely lost. We could not get out of there.
Yeah, to get somebody to show us how to get out of there.
Is the giant face collaged onto the zine, or is that part of the adornment of the cart?
No, that's me, and I collaged it on.
Okay, okay. I was thinking it was part of the design on the cart. I was like, wow, that's a crazy cart.
That would have been great. What a great idea.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well,
It was a great,
awesome.
it was a great day. Thank you, Susan. It was really fun.
All right, next we have R. Wagner and B. Bunny by Gail Samuda. Resolution issues are common in the zine world. A lot of people want it to look rough. This is as good as it's going to get with this one. I don't know if it's the file size or what's going on with it, but I still can read it, and I think it's kind of interesting that it's pixelated the way it is. Yeah.
That's cute.
Are y'all able to follow that?
Yeah.
Are we ready? Be my love. I'm sure Gail would give it a lovely reading for us if she was here. All right, let's see. Alice Stan. This is a lovely little piece too. Hers from the last time around was the cat apartment complex, if you remember. And it has a very consistent illustrative style, which I think is nice. You really can tell when you're looking at Alice Stan's work. It's very, very consistent and just super charming. Small spaces. I love the candle. You think those are matches? See the little lines with the little round ends? Are those matches, you think?
Could be. The little rooms for the matches. I don't know. I love the detail.
Yeah.
Of the drawings.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I really, really, really like this one. It's one of my favorite ones in there. The duck is great too.
I love the propeller. Rubber ducky.
The cosmetic mirror is nice. That visual campfire is fun too. Yeah. Donna Sepian. This is the minimalist menu. I'm wondering, I really wanted her to be here today because I was going to actually ask her questions about her actual diet. If this is the kind of like daily, this is her daily, a daily kind of routine. I'm just like, wow. Yeah, it's no wonder she's so skinny. Yeah, it's fantastic. but I can't even imagine like getting by on such a small amount of food. But then again, she could be eating the entire jar of peanut butter for all we know. But I couldn't make a lunch out of just 5 tomatoes. Yeah, so let's see. Oh, she's not giving volumes. Okay. Okay, that's more reasonable. Or peanut butter. The gradation shifts in real when you're not getting it the same way as you would in real life. You can see a little bit towards the bottom of the zine here that there's white, and then there's this subtle gray palette. That's most of the zine is that subtle gray. Yeah. I kind of enjoy looking at it this way too. Instead of seeing them as pairs, just kind of see them all at once or see multiples at the same time. Very good. Okay, that's our swap. Fun. Does anybody have any comments?
Well, I'd like to start. This is Rebecca. This has just been so wonderful and refreshing. I've been making these little things. I never knew what they were called. I was over at the Bainbridge Island Museum of Art, and they had a book fair.
Yeah.
And how to make books. And that was one of their handouts, is a template. And I went home and I like, okay, let me try it. And so I made several, and now I didn't even know it was a thing. So
it's definitely a thing.
The variety of it and the other ideas of doing double-sided. And I just wrote down
I
all
have a
these
whole
other
lot of
ideas.
double-sided that I've done. I have a series that are color 2-sided with a ledger 11 by 17 instead of the 8.5 by 11. And the Staples color copies, oh, they feel so good in your hand. They're just really, people are just like, where did you get that printed? They get so excited about touching it. It's especially the 2-sided. It's just super slick and feels really good. Yeah.
And a whole nother dimension to add to it. So this has been
and
really
you can do
good.
risograph and make it be like a 2 or 3 color risograph and like go get funkier with your printing techniques, or you can go the other way and make an original and then Xerox it and take it off and put the new one and like do generations of Xeroxing to degrade it even further. Do you know what I mean? So there's a, unlimited number of ideas there.
Yeah. So this is really inspiring.
Our next show and tell is going to be, let me look at the date, May 15th. It's at 1 o'clock. It's a Sunday, and it's going to stay on that Sunday. We're not going to move it, hopefully. And I'm going to call it a new member showcase because we haven't lined up anybody yet. And if you're wanting to share, like Rebecca or Lori, if you want to share, because we haven't seen your work yet, or Mary, if you want to share, throw me an email and let me know. I'm going to be reaching out to a bunch of these new members. We have had great results from our Portland experience. I think we're in the neighborhood of 47 new MailChimp newsletter signups, which is pretty impressive from that experience through now. And a lot of these addresses I'm looking at are Maine. So I'm feeling like it really is directly from that. And I think we're on our third membership from out of Maine.
Maine, yeah.
Now, specifically Maine addresses. So I'm assuming that since they're right now, they're probably coming directly from that, which is nice to see as well. So I think we had a good result.
So I'd like to say how much I enjoyed this. This was really, really wonderful. And I'm feeling like I desperately need one of these collections. There's so many that I just need to look at more closely and think about. So I know it takes $100 donation, but is there a link, a specific place where you designate that that's why you're donating the $100 or anything?
Since I'm going to be fulfilling it and you're talking directly to me, you can just go to the website and the donation and
Okay.
do your donation, and I'll have the first year or the second year. So
Well, I feel very attached to the second year
the second
because I
year is
just
what you
got
just
to
looked
see
at.
them.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Can I have both?
$150 donation. I would do those.
Yeah, I didn't
wouldn't
see,
do
I
that.
don't know if I feel as connected to the first one.
You don't know. Yeah, you'll have to go and look at the post. If
Yeah.
you go back in the blog, the news and
Yeah.
the blog section, you can
Yeah.
go back to the original post of the
Yeah.
results and see what we did last time.
Yeah.
I did mine were a little saucier, last time
Mhm.
around. Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to just say is, Rebecca, you're from Washington. I assume that you know about Puget Sound book artists.
I will have to look now.
Yeah,
to
they're
s-
out
to
of
see.
Tacoma. They're affiliated with the University of Puget Sound. It's not a student organization per se. I mean, the members are like us, mainly older women, with some men, but they're a really lovely group. And
We did have a
so
guy sign up yesterday.
a guy, oh, you had a new member. Well, and you've got Dennis.
We have more than just
more than just
one.
Dennis.
He's not
Yeah.
he's not the only one.
I know. It's just
I-
the overwhelming demographic.
It is an overwhelming demographic.
But that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to make sure that Rebecca knew about that group that's more local to you, especially, if you're, I don't know where are you in Washington?
Up the road about 45 minutes in Bremerton.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah, they're
They-
very doable. Mhm.
yeah.
Are you
And
back
they,
in Stonington at all?
I grew up in Norwich, and my mom and my sister live in the borough.
Okay.
And that's where my heart is. I love the Velvet Mill, and
I do too.
I'm hoping
yeah.
by next year I'll
Yeah.
make my journey east again, and
Well-
just to stay, to be more creative.
Yeah. Gabriella's coming to my house to do a private marbling workshop on Monday. So I'll be seeing her then. I'll mention, I'll let her know that I saw you.
Oh, because you're in Massachusetts?
Yeah. It's an hour and a
Okay.
half drive. It's not too
Mhm.
far.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's not bad at all. She's only one exit into Connecticut. So it's pretty quick ride. Yeah.
Mm.
That's our vice president. Yeah. Gabriella. Yeah. Okay, great.
Is. And that was one of my first ones that I made. So
Oh.
6-word memoir,
Yeah.
and just a word on each page. So I think that would be a good project, like
That
I
would
don't know
be
if
a
you said
good
it, like-
project.
a
Yeah.
prompt for the
Yeah.
month.
I think you need to be signed up for a prompt, honey. Let's get you going on the prompters. We
do it
need
for next
prompters.
month.
Next month. need a
Sure,
prompt.
I do a lot of workshops with my
Yeah,
friends in
yeah, yeah.
Colorado.
It's one word descriptive, one word thematic, and one word technique.
See, I didn't quite understand what that meant.
Okay, describe it. Like red, blue, green, happy, sad, long, thin.
Adjective.
It's
Well,
an
I need to
adjective.
get a more context to it.
There, the email that reminded you to come here today at the bottom of it has Judy's down here, Judy's prompts for this month, which were rust, shock, and the technique was recycled. So some people talk about a bookbinding technique. Some people talk about like wet like said the word wet. Like last month we had the word wet, and that's all it was. So they can be kind of obtuse, or they can be very specific, like letter, folded.
And then what do you do with those words?
You
You
come
make
up with an
something?
artist, you make an artist book based on those 3 words. And it's wide open to your interpretations. We all get the sneaky advance notice of this 6-word memoir zine. Rock
Say
it,
back in
Rebecca.
2008, NPR had a segment on, they asked famous people, well-known people, what's their 6-word memoir? And they were sharing that on the radio. And I'm like, and I came up with mine. And from 2008, that stuck with me. And so when I ask friends, you might want to do this too over the next week. Ask your friends, what's your 6-word memoir? And they're like, no. It's like they never thought about things like that.
I think it's good to ask people questions that mess with them a little bit. Self-contemplation and a little more self-exploration is in order for us all. And if you don't help people think in new ways, then yeah, they're not going to probably do it on their own. I don't know. I think it's good. I think it was stimulating. And it's, I have no idea what my 6 words would be right now. Like, wow. Well, I
Thank
hope
you very
everyone
much.
has a lovely time over the weekend, and we'll see you again soon, hopefully.
Okay.
Thank
Nice seeing
you.
everybody.
Here.
Bye-bye.
Bye.